And we are going to be talking about using the third visualization. And, as we get into, Rochelle, as you start to tell us about yourself, I know one thing I wanted to mention was you were guided to this topic. So I'll introduce myself in a minute, but why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how you came about this topic?
Well, Jessica and I had talked about doing another show together, and I was like, I kept waiting for Spirit to guide me into something that the collective needs. And I was more guided into different things with third eye, not just opening the third eye, but being able to use it on a daily basis in our manifesting, and this all starts with what we're doing today, getting to that part, and just not having an overactive third eye, but using it in balance with the heart and in harmony, so that you are in a flow. That's what I was guided to work with.
And it's so when you contacted me and we were going back and forth on the topic, we talking about the pineal gland.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we did a show about the pineal gland. I don't know how many months ago. It's been a while. Yeah, and it was a lot of information. I put it on my website, and I've had a couple people say, "Oh wow, that's a lot of information." I mean, I was like, I know, and that's not even all of it. So some of the things that Jessica and I talked about were just the basic things, were like minerals and things that you would want to activate and help decalcify your pineal gland, is what we went over last time. And which is raw cacao, the melatonin, avoiding fluoride is a really big one, using toothpaste without fluoride in it, trying to drink water that doesn't have fluoride in it. I mean, we need fluoride so we can have these beautiful teeth. We don't want to not have it at all, but and then we talked about just the basics of doing sun gazing. We went through that. And then some stones that we talked about. We talked about different blue stones that are very good for the third eye, and Jessica's favorite was the meteorite.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which I still haven't used the meteorite. I'm still like, I don't know. We'll see if Spirit ever guides me. I have some, and it's locked up. So, but I tend to gravitate more to dark stones, or it's to filter out negative energies, and because I'm an empath, that's the one I'm drawn to the most, are all the dark stones and the blue stones, of course. And also
I'm drawn to a lot of blue stones too, and I love black obsidian, and I love rainbow obsidian too. I have a piece of that I love.
Yeah. So those are some of the things we went through. Also detoxing, hot yoga, sauna. We're Healing Within is talking about putting a sauna in. So we're kind of really waiting for that to come around so we can all get in there and get
soon.
So then there was just some other things, detoxing your space, things like that. Clutter is a very big energy sucker. It really is. And if you haven't ever watched Hoarders, that's definitely, they're not using their third eye in that space. So, I mean, it's definitely having organization in your space. Creating a sacred space is a nice thing. And I say that, and people are probably envisioning these altars and all these little things. No, sacred space is just, keeping your house full of love, and using your sage. Some people don't like sage, but I tend to. I know that it's clearing. I use other things and it just doesn't seem like it clears as well.
I actually clear with my third eye.
And that also, when you're
tricks, and all of the sage, and I love sage actually, and I love Palo Santo, but what I typically guide people to do is to just set the intention that they are clearing out anything of low vibration, anything that's not yours and theirs, and anything that's ready to be released with grace and ease. And I like to visualize like almost like it's coming up, like they're taking like a net, and I'm visualizing that all the shit is going in this net, and everything that is a good, that is meant to be here is,
And that is wonderful. That's a great exercise right there, is to start with. What we're talking about today is working with the visualization of the third eye. And so, Jessica, go through those steps again for someone.
So for myself, I will call in my team. Now, some people, if you don't know who that is, it's okay. I call on guides and angels, and everybody speaks to that differently. And Rochelle and I both honor that. And we'll also give you our tips for who we call in. But I call in my team, I close my eyes, and I just ask that they take anything from my home and my body and my aura that's not mine, that's no longer serving me, and that is of low vibration. And I ask that it be released with grace and ease. And then I use my visualization, and I am very visual. And I imagine that there's this, it's like it's wrapped in a net, and they're drawing the net up just like fish in the water. The pureness is staying, and the rest is going up in the net, and they take it to the light.
It's wonderful. It's so beautiful.
Well,
love that. I love that. I even go, before I even get into my house, sometimes I will sit in my car and envision with my third eye a pyramid around my house, and then envision just blasting it with light, just bringing the light in through the top of the pyramid and just blasting it through my whole house before I even get in there. And I did that when I first started doing healing work all the time, just all the time, before I even got in there. And even in places where I felt like some things were not as, fun energy when I was there, I would do the same thing. I would put a pyramid around it and just use my third eye and envision it and blast light through it. And of course, I would call in my team to help me do that, and just in visualizing it. So some of the starters would be, you can use any of your fingers. Just start with a finger and start rubbing the third eye, which is the sixth chakra. This is the chakra that gives you your intuition, and it also activates and works with your intelligence. So you just rub it around and activate it. And then some of the other tools that we had talked about earlier is you can stand in front of a mirror and close your eyes and just envision yourself standing there, like what your hair color is, what the color of your skin is, what you were wearing. Do those things and just keep working with it. And it's like if you didn't use your arm. If you didn't use one of your arms every day, and then one day you wanted to go pick up something that was heavy, it wouldn't be able to do that because you haven't exercised that muscle. So this is kind of like you're exercising your third eye muscle. You're using it and tuning it, because Jessica said she has some people that do not have the visualization key, which is usually due to they're more a left brain person.
Oh,
that they don't have the creativity. They're usually not, you know, a lot of artists, a lot of performers, a lot of singers. They have their third eye always open because they're channeling through their craft. And
absolutely.
so left brain people tend to be more analytical. They're always trying to use, they're overacting their intelligence, and they kind of they don't believe in it. They are a lot of the people that do that. They have a question of spirituality in general. They will not trust it because of the third eye being inactive. Yeah. So that's one of the things that people that tend to not have the visualization, they're kind of the doubting Thomases of the spiritual world. But when they start getting and drifting into that part, it's not that you can't be working with your consciousness if you don't have your third eye open.
Right.
But it's that you are just need to start working with it and using some of these techniques. One of them would be, Jessica was talking about clearing her house. Well, you can also go into different places and just use your third eye to kind of scan the room and see how it feels. I'm not talking about an empathic, like feeling emotions and emotional energies. I'm talking about just use the third eye and just kind of scan it and see how the energy moves. See what different people's energies are. And then notice the next place you go.
And can we difference in it. Say too that, and you can reflect on this too, but everybody sees differently. So some people might see energy as like sparkles, and some people might see energy as like colors, like auras. So when Rochelle says see, use your sight and don't judge it, just see.
I want to see the sparkles.
I know, me too.
I want somebody to hook me up with that one. I want to start doing that one. Oh man. I mean, I've seen spirits that have sparkled and things like that. Like they're usually kind of they're not necessarily angelic, but more of the like fairy realm that I have, and they're not like fairies of the earth realm. They're more of a galactic kind of beings. Those have had lots of sparkles and things around them. But yeah, I want to see that. That sounds like the bomb, to be walking in places and seeing sparkles. I mean, like, that would be like my best day ever. As I saw sparkles coming out of people. That would be great. But yeah, I mean, not everybody's going to see the same things unless you're in a group and you're working with one mind. You may all see similar things. And we have had places that we've done some spiritual work that we all sat there and worked together to see things, and we would see things, but they would be a little bit different, but they would be connected and they would be similar. Hasn't that been your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I've been in many circles, and especially when you're trying to get information about a specific topic or missing person or situation, I've sat in many circles and gotten very similar information. And also, I just want to mention, we're talking about the third eye, and we're talking about visualization, but also when Rochelle says, I'm not talking about feeling feelings, a lot of us get information. If you're not using your third eye, you're still seeing a different way. You might be seeing through feelings, thoughts, things like that, but specifically opening the third eye. And the question came, do you have to have your eyes open or shut to visualize? I do both.
It depends on the person. You can do either way. I've done, usually with your eyes open is, can be called gazing. And that is usually a very, I don't know what the word is, more of a higher technical kind of meditation, is to use. The monks I know, and Tibetan monks, do a lot of gazing. They will do open eye meditations. And I actually went to a Tibetan temple once when I was in my spiritual journey, and we did it there. And I was like, this is kind of weird, but it was cool.
That's interesting.
It was very interesting. But yes, you can do either. But I like to have my eyes closed sometimes.
I recommend in meditations that people use their eyes closed. And when I'm teaching people to do psychic work and mediumship work, I let them choose either way, but sometimes it's easier in the beginning to start with your eyes closed. When I do my mediumship work and my psychic work, my eyes are open because I'm with somebody. So I visualize with my eyes open and closed. But in the beginning, start with one way and then try the other.
Definitely, I'm more of an eye closed, but sometimes it happens when they're open. But it's not that I'm trying to getting it at that time. Sometimes it just happens. I don't know. When your third eye is open, some people can't tend to close the third eye, and it is they're constantly seeing, and that's kind of it's not overactive, but it's just something they have to work on, being able to put a balance in it and a harmony, because that can cause a lot of stress in your emotional body if your third eye is constantly open. And there are a lot of people that I have come across in the spiritual community that are seers. They can't, some of them can't close their third eye, and they've been activated like that, seems like from birth.
Do you mean with that like they're in constant communication with spirit and don't know how to stop it?
They're constantly,
my third eye is constantly, like, when I read, I see. When people tell me things, I see. So it's just part of who I am.
Yeah, there are some people that can't shut it off, and they are constantly seeing energy.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and they'll see into other dimensional things, portals, things like that, constantly. And some of them can't drive because they'll see so many timelines, and that it's just, like I said, it's emotionally taxing for them, and they have to work with balancing it and trying to close it. So yeah, so and it's kind of like seers, had some seers have that go on, and then like empaths, they can't turn their cleaning up. They're constantly cleaning the room, they're constantly going places and picking up negative energies. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
They have to work with trying to keep it in a balance. Most of the time they start using what they call a lens, and they'll put it over it, like a energetic lens. so they won't be seeing. And they have to start using that and tuning that to be able to keep it under a balance.
But you said that's different than being overactive. And you said you run into a lot of people who are overactive also, right?
Well, some people that are overactive, I see that in their chakras. Not the third eye doesn't work just by itself. The heart and the third eye are very connected. So if your heart chakra is completely locked up, the gates are locked up, you are in a disharmony with your third eye. And there's just this little phrase that I'm going to just, if we close our eyes for just a second and just say, I easily open my heart to harmony. I easily open my heart to harmony. I easily open my heart to harmony. And just say that 3 times and just feel it when you're in your third eye and you have activated it with the rubbing of it. And imagine an indigo blue light coming in through your third eye, and just it is illuminating it going from the front between your eyes to the back of your head, and it's just lighting up your head. And then imagine a green emerald light coming from the root chakra, and it is guiding up through your spine, and it is going all the way up behind the eyes to that third eye. And then just imagine a orange light like the sun coming in through the third eye, and then just sunshine behind the eyes and lighting up the whole head all the way to the back of the head. And then take the sunshine to everywhere else in your body. And then just bring it back up to your third eye. And then open your eyes. And that is just a little guided visualization, how to just start opening the third eye and getting it in harmony with the rest of the body. Because what happens is the third eye works with your intelligence. And a lot of people that are that left-brained, which with hypnotherapy, I work with, I love right brain people. Left brain people, I'm like, oh no. Because they're the ones that are like, I'm seeing things, but I doubt everything I am seeing. I'm making this shit up. Is basically what they're saying. And that is normal. But the other thing is that the chakras themselves all work in harmony, and they are constantly giving us a flow. And the flow is what Jessica was talking about earlier, is being connected to spirit, but not, that's what we talked about last time, was more of the higher self. Mm-hmm. This is just the third eye, the third eye chakra. And what happens with the third eye when it is overactive, the chakras run in the front of the body and they run into the back of the body. And in the back of the body, there are more chakras that are our will. And what happens when the third eye is overactivated, you will tend to have your will overactivated. And what happens is that you are using your will to push yourself through life instead of using your third eye to flow yourself through life. And the signs of that would be is that you're projecting that third eye into the future and you're attaching to an outcome. And then you are trying to use the will to make that outcome to happen. And that's where you're over activated with the will center, you're underactivated in your emotional centers, and you're overactivated in your intelligence center. And this is that the person is not in flow. And I know you've heard that, you know, everybody's like, woo woo, get in the flow. You're not in the flow. Be in the flow. And a lot of yoga does that, be in the flow. But it's so true, because when you're using your will to make that future, because there are a lot, I'm not saying, I know Jessica's not this, but a lot of psychics are very attached to the third eye and projecting the future for you. But if you're not in the flow, you're going to attach yourself to that outcome, and then you're going to overactivate your will. And this personal will, you're going to start shaping and creating your reality with that future projection. And this causes a forcing current of energy, not a flow. And then you will have to manipulate others and events to get to that outcome. And that's what the overactivating of the third eye happens when you're not in harmony.
It almost feels like trying to control it instead of letting it flow. Like, yes. I know that this is going to happen. Now I have to take every step to take it, rather than being like, oh, that's definitely already going to work itself out. You know, when we try to control it, it is like, and it just changes it all. So,
well, and it's also, you know, you're in a resistance. So this is a little tidbit that I never did understand this when I first started working in the spiritual community. The hologram of our life. I was like, what is a hologram? And so basically the hologram is the movie that you're watching every day, which is your life. And the film that is being projected onto the movie that you're watching is the program that you're running. And the light that hits the film is your consciousness. So the hologram is your reality. So if you want to be in flow, you cannot try to manipulate the film. You can't go to the movie and try to move things around in the movie because it won't move. You would have to go to the film and create and cut pieces out that you didn't want, which would be creating new neural pathways in the film. That's what the hologram is all about. That's just a scenario. I'm not saying that that's our lives. that
The
are
consciousness in the film, I was like, yes, that makes
yes, but it's the pieces all are in harmony together. So if the consciousness is not sending a light to the film, then the film isn't running. There's just all of these moving parts that go with that. And one of the things that Jessica had brought up was people not having the vision also can be due to attachments and frequencies. So I had done some research this week that I just was fascinated by, is different things that we put in our body and the frequency of them. And I just wrote down some of the ones that really, like, let's do, y'all know all the frequencies that you listen to in meditations, like
417 hertz, maybe.
Yeah, and then 528 is the frequency of love and harmony.
I have them all listed on my Spotify. For every chakra, there's a different frequency. So I use them in some of my circles that I lead.
And some of them activate the third eye. So this is a fascinating thing, is that the things that we put in our body, so we're listening to the hearts, activating our third eye, doing all the exercises, trying to activate our third eye. And then we go do drugs, which this was fascinating. Nicotine was the frequency of 25, which is shame, the frequency of shame. Cocaine, frequency of 5, shame. Heroin, the frequency of 1, which is also shame. Shame is the lowest frequency it is in the lowest negative energy frequency that you can have in your energy field. So,
well, and a lot of people that are choosing those are probably really feeling that in their
so they could have, and that also affects the third eye. And where you're going to go with your third eye. Because if you are putting in your body the frequency of shame over and over and over again, what is the third eye going to go see? It could take you to wonderful places, but you're going to see it all through a lens of shame. So there was some very interesting things with this study that because I'm all about frequencies, all about it, frequencies and vibrations. Like CBD oil, the frequency was 400. That's the frequency of love.
I love that.
Yeah, and so like aspirin was the frequency of 250, which was courage. And actually aspirin is derived from willow bark. And I didn't know that until I saw this study, which willow bark was like, everything when it is taken from the original plant, like cocaine comes from the coca leaf, right? What is it? I don't know. Some kind of plant.
I don't know.
Well, but in its original plant form, it's like 500. But when it is taken and put into a substance, then it changes it to a lower frequency. Like this is an interesting one. Xanax was 200, which is still shame. Alcohol, 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is shame also. There was another one, ayahuasca. Now, ayahuasca in certain doses is good, but like the dose, it was 20, 21, that's shame.
I'm going to disagree on that one because there are different, like it depends on how you're utilizing. You said right, like it depends on the dosage,
The
but
doses.
also like, because I do a lot for my own healing, I use different plant medicines. If it is kept the right way, it is coming from the earth. It is a great vibration. But again, depending on how it's used makes a difference too.
Sure.
Like not just what it's carrying, but how it's used.
Right. And why I was drawn to this study is because the shamans that are doing the ayahuasca ceremonies, there has been a flood of healers that are finding attachments to people in these doing these ayahuasca ceremonies. And Gina Millard and I talked about this one day. She said, have you had anybody come to you broken from these ayahuasca ceremonies? And I said, no, but I have heard of it. And this study was telling, they were doing the frequency of the different ayahuasca doses. You can have a dose high enough to have courage. So even though it is being ministered right, it just depends on what the person already has in their field.
Yes, it does.
And
totally.
What if they're wanting to experience shame, they may be able to pull that out and embrace it and transmute it. But if they're already having let's say a drug addict went and had ayahuasca at this level, it probably would not be good for them.
It's very important in any kind of ceremony like that you know what's in a person's system. And it's also important, because this is a great topic, it's also important that you're not doing that on your own and that you are with a shaman that knows what they're doing. And that I agree with you on all of that, because it does matter. If there's something in your body, even prescription medication that you were supposed to take every day, it makes a difference when you add a plant spirit to it.
Right. And that was another thing, like Prozac and Zoloft, they were at the frequency of fear. And they're being given to people to
get rid of fear,
get rid of anxiety. I was like, holy crap. All these doctors are feeding people fear. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is just like, I was just like, and I will say, I've been depressed in my life and had doctors give me, I think back in the day, it was Prozac. And the side effects that I got out of it, because I have my third eye up, oh my gosh, it was like I was seeing things out of the side of my eyes, and I ended up throwing it down the toilet. But it was because of what was already going on in my field, and that was enhancing it. And I didn't know that at the time. So all the things that you take in your system can also affect your third eye. And it's because of the frequency that you are vibrating. And it has a lot to do with that.
I mean, even the foods, like, just like you said, alcohol, but like foods and drinks and sugars and live food or dead food, like versus like all of that makes a difference on how you're caring for your system.
Sugar was at the frequency of 25.
I'm not. I mean, that is like,
That's
that is
shame.
my addiction is sugar.
Yeah, and that's why people, when they eat too much cake, they're like, "Oh, I feel terrible. I don't like
And also, it
it."
tastes so good.
I know, I know it does taste good, but the sugar cane in
Yeah.
its original form was 310, which is willingness. And when I was, you see, my family's from Louisiana. We used to go to the sugarcane fields and just crack them open and eat them. And I was like, this was delicious. I would eat it when I was a kid. And I never really understood that. But just like we were talking about the willow bark, which is aspirin, that's what aspirin has originated from. Willow bark is at 750.
Wow.
Yeah.
We just
So
get these plants back out, y'all.
yeah, when they get taken down to almost stripping away the nutrients out of the substance, that's when it turns into something else.
Yeah.
So like coffee was down there with alcohol, but
Damn.
but but also it's the kind of coffee that you drink. Like there are certain coffees, like the coffee Arab, I think it was Arabic. It was at like 310, but not the coffee that actually the coffee that we drink is very toxic. It has a lot of toxins in it. And that's one of the things I've been trying to eliminate from my diet. And I love getting up in the morning and just listening to the dripple, dripple, dripple of the coffee machine. But I have started to look for alternatives. And lion's mane, it's a mushroom, and it helps the brain activity. I mix it with the cacao, uh, um, like powder and cinnamon and whatever milk I want to put in it. Like I use almond milk, and I have one of those little spinners. They're like they help. Yeah, and I it I don't I haven't even missed the coffee.
That's awesome.
I think it was connected to the warmth of the drink.
Do you drink is it warm like a coffee?
Yeah, I've just heated up a lot with my coffee maker.
Yeah.
So there's still the habit of hearing the dripping and the brewing. It's just I'm not getting that coffee. I used to always, now I'm not, Starbucks, don't contact SoFire and say, well, SoFire said that. I always told my daughter, I said, Starbucks coffee tastes like ass. My mouth was always disgusting after I would drink their coffee, and she would be like, I want to go to Starbucks. And I was like, I don't know, there's something wrong with that stuff. I love their teas and things like that. I do still go to Starbucks and get me some their good teas. They got something dragon flour or something that's really, it's got a lot of sugar in it, but it's still tasty.
Maybe you can do sugar substitute. So
yeah, I should try that. But again, these are all the things that will affect your visualization if you are not keeping your body clean. Now, one of the things that I had done some research on was the development stage of your third eye. It's actually started developing when the age of 13 to 18. And that was kind of fascinating because I remember seeing things at 4. So I don't know.
right. Me too.
But maybe that's for people that, certain people, but that was the development age for the third eye. And of course, the organ is the eyes. is in the third eye, is right here and into the back of the head. It's kind of like straight back. And it is, let's see here. I always have to, it's kind of like the ABCs. Each chakra has a feminine aspect and a male aspect. So the root is male, the second chakra is female, the solar plexus is male, the heart is female, the throat chakra is male, so the third eye is female. Oh, not female, I meant feminine, sorry. I'm talking feminine, masculine, not female. Totally wrong.
I knew exactly what you meant.
You knew what I meant.
I did. I was with you totally.
Okay, so then the crown is the masculine, and then you go on and up. So, I mean, because we have more than 7 chakras. So
below and above. We could keep
right.
going.
Right. And as above, so is below. So yeah. So I mean, you got to think about the meaning of the third eye also. The third eye is about commanding. You're commanding to see something.
I see.
I see. Yes.
It's where your clairvoyance is, clear seeing.
Yes. So these are the imprinting programs that can happen in the third eye. Deception, delusion, obsession. And the planet of the third eye is Neptune. So those are things that, in the color of the chakra is in indigo. We talked about that. And the sacred geometry is a downward facing triangle, which is the feminine.
Right.
Right. So one of the things that I would like to do today, we wanted to talk about the attachments.
I was going to ask you about that, because I still, in any work that you do, as you're opening up your channels, you know, that's something that can happen. So I did want you to touch base on that, because you were also going to talk about a blessing.
Yeah, I was going to do a little prayer for everybody. Hopefully, anybody that is on Soulfire, or if you're going to watch the replay, if you could put some earphones in, that would be really good for this part of the show that we are going to do. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is you can have, Jessica knows this, and she has dealt with this most of her life, is the mediumship is dealing with the incarnate. And that is, the incarnate is disembodied spirits that have not gone to the light. And Jessica can tell you a little bit about that. I'll let her talk about that because I say I don't want to do mediumship, and then I'll have spirits pop up in my they're like, oh really? Okay.
So disembodied spirit, most pass on and go so easily to the other side, and a few don't know that they've passed, and it's very easy to help them move on. But what I do is I can communicate with those spirits, and I can get information from them. I do use my third eye for that. And sometimes they like to hang out in certain spots that maybe they lived, or maybe their loved one was there. And they will come to me mostly because I'm connecting with their person's coming to see me. But I was at Red River Gorge, and had this guy come up, and I was like, hey buddy, what you doing here? Just, a hiker from the 80s, just still in that spot, so that's how it happens with me. It's usually an appointment, but
right,
my life.
Right. Actually, the other morning I had I was sitting on the couch meditating, and I had closed our fireplace off, and one of the chains on the fireplace was just whapping back and forth. Just one. And I was like, what the hell? And I was looking around for a vent, and I was like, then I noticed I didn't have selenite on that side of the fireplace.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, oh, it came down through the opening in the fireplace, and oh, there's no block, there's nothing here protecting it. I'm coming in. I was like, no. So I was like, who are you here for? And all of that good stuff. So that is definitely something that I have done in my house is, and that would be, a whole show about house protection.
Yeah, maybe that's next.
That's next. But yes, disincarnate spirits can attach to your third eye. And they are just, and what they do to people is they produce anxiety. And they will produce worry, guilt, shame, fear, all of those things. And they feed off of your emotions. That's what they do. And then there are entities, which they're non-physical beings that have found a home in your bioenergy field, and they're doing the same thing. They're trying to feed off of you. And then this is another one is passengers and vampires, and then demons, which are non-human dark energy. And this is something that healers really need to be aware of when they're using their third eye, because we are targeted. And we are definitely, we can be possessed. And I have actually had healers work with people that have been working with gurus that have had these really dark demons in their fields, because they feel like they feel like they don't need to be cleansed by anybody, because they feel like they're the it, they get in.
That makes sense.
Demon comes in.
Yeah, they're like, no good.
Yeah, they don't. Well, I go to other healers. Jessica goes to other healers.
All the time.
Oh, let other people look at what's going on. Like, something's going on here, because we have to keep our bioenergy field clear so that we can be good healers. Mm-hmm. And we can pick up things from other people too. But that is definitely something that healers are targeted to, is that they can get possessed by these entities, and because they get into your bioenergy field. So I'm going to do a prayer for us today, and I would like for everyone to close their eyes so we can see, so we can use our third eye also, and just have everybody take a deep breath. And I'm going to do two little prayers because I feel guided to do this. One is going to be from Raphael. Archangel Raphael, please continue to heal my body and mind and return it to its perfect state of health. And please send me to all the people and places and modalities and situations and opportunities that can help me to do that. I promise to be open to the signs and synchronicities you send me, and please help me recognize them when they arrive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am of God. I ground myself to the earth. I command you, God, to remove all of the entities, negative remote viewers, manipulations, AIs, radioactive machines, and transmissional frequencies, infinite levels of high, level, wide, through all space and time continuum, in every dimension, that are not of my highest good. I believe I bring all the people involved in this manipulation before you, God, for justice, in the only way you know how. It is not for us to judge them. Therefore, we release them to you with unconditional love and forgiveness. I thank you, God, and send you my unconditional love. Yina piti yana kina mayatsani amayatana niyakana matsina shana. Mayana no tayana masati yakaya sanania, manyato diona bayakaya mayasani tayana naka, unochiyana bashana nako. And it will be so. And open our eyes.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I feel great. I felt like almost like a coolness, like halfway through. It was like there was a cool breeze, almost like I was like, oh, there's room around me a little bit here. Mm-hmm. So that was really interesting. So thank you for leading that and for talking about the third eye tonight. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself and where they can find you and what you have coming up?
Okay, sure. I am with Healing Within, the center, and I begin with healing. I do light activation healing as an energy healing modality. Also do hypnotherapy in office remotely. Yes, I can do hypnosis remotely. It is actually, people are more relaxed in their own home. They really are. And but some people can't find that space in their home. The dogs are going to jump on and bark, or kids are going to be running in the room, and I understand that, and that's why my office is still very important to people. And as always, I am a servant to humanity, and any more downloads I get, or my healing modality keeps changing. Every time you come, you'll get different frequencies, and whatever they're coming down the line of the consciousness is what I bring to the people. And I am definitely here to be an open service to everyone. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Rochelle. And you guys, I see Rochelle for a lot of my healing work, and I love it. The work that she puts in, when you pay for her, you were paying for the work she does before. And it's usually not just an hour when you're with her, and then she's doing more work after. So I promise you, it is well worth it. And the healing is beautiful. So thank you. I love your healing. I'm Jessica Tanselle. I am a psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and healer. I will be back tomorrow night for the Chronicles of Chiron with Christopher Paul Hancock. We will be talking about who knows what tomorrow. It gets wild. So we'll be talking about Chiron for sure. But we'll probably be catching up over the past couple of weeks after a journey that we were on. You can schedule an appointment with me at thejessicatanselle.com. And I lead a Monday night development group every Monday at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow night, we're talking about past lives, and I'm going to walk you through a past life regression. And then I still have a few spots in my in-person full moon ceremony this Saturday night.